And we're back. Welcome to episode 5 of the Thursday Night Grind. Today is January 30th, 2020. My name is Matt and I run the American Edge, which is a small side hustle, side sharpening business in New Hampshire. Every Thursday night at 8:30, I go live on YouTube to sharpen something that's on the bench in an effort to share with you the sharpening techniques that I am learning and that I have picked up. Unfortunately, I'm still not live. This is supposed to be live. I have 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for all of you who have hit that button. If this is your first time by, please hit that again, or please hit that because it still continues to help. But I have not clicked all the right buttons in the back end of YouTube, and I think I was doing that today, but then it seems like it takes 24 hours. So I will take responsibility for that as the newbie here on the YouTube live venture, but I'm not going to quit, and pretty soon I'm going to be live. Today we are going to sharpen a Victorinox 8-inch chef knife. There's a couple reasons why. So this is actually not a customer's knife. This is my own knife, and it's been several months anyway since it's been sharpened. One other thing that I'm doing is trying to help teach this, but really like in a hands-on, in-person sort of style. So like if you're interested in starting your own sharpening business, primarily as a side business, I encourage you to reach out to me and we can explore that. One of the features of that Elite Sharpening Academy is that the people I'm working with take a video of themselves and of sharpening something and then send it to me, and then I kind of go through it with them and provide some tips and pointers. And in one of those phone calls last week, some things came up, so I want to talk about some pro tips sharpening a chef knife. Now, as a sharpener getting into this, really the niche that I kind of specialize in and teach to is residential, and you're going to see a lot of 8-inch chef knives in residential kitchens. The other reason to include this one is because this Victorinox is what I recommend to my customers when they say, "Hey, I've been using these knives that I got from Walmart." Hold on one second. Forgot I left the heater on in the shop. Anyway, some of my customers said, "I've been using these knives I got, 10 years ago, and I'm interested in upgrading, getting a nice knife, but I don't want to spend a lot of money." It all depends on the price range. Sometimes when you look at nice knives, people kind of almost get offended, like, "You could spend $100 on a knife." You could spend a lot more than $100 on a knife, and you'll get what you pay for. But it takes a little while to get there. But this Victorinox is a nice entry level, getting into a knife that's kind of nice. Has a few things going for it. We can get into that later if you care. Ask the question in the comments below, and I'll get back to you on that. But okay, so this one is mine. Before I get into sharpening this, I did want to make an announcement, and that is that as the American Edge, I really specialize in serving my community, but I also I really also am trying to advocate every community having a sharpener. But if you've done the searching and you can't find a sharpener around you that you trust and that you want to have sharpen your stuff, I just want to share that I do mail order sharpening. So YouTube gives me a bigger reach than a lot of the other avenues that I use. So if you're interested in utilizing my resources, my business for sharpening your knives, you can just reach out to me or check out my website, AmericanEdgeSharpening.com. Okay, so now onto this knife. The first thing I want to show you is honing. And when we get to the end of this knife, I'm going to show you that I don't hone it when I'm done, which was a part of that discussion that I had this past week. But I want to show you something over here. Two things, actually. Oh, it's my last piece. All right, the first thing is with regard to a cut test. I think the paper cut test has received some criticism out there on the interwebs justifiably, like we don't use this knife to cut paper, I still think that paper is a nice medium to test. And here's something I'm going to show you. So kind of what, so this, I haven't sharpened this yet. I mean, other than a few months ago, but watch and listen. Like it still sort of cuts, but I'm hoping what you can pick up and what I'm trying to share with you is that I can feel it catching. It's not even cutting. It's not cutting great, but what happens to these knives as they get used is, if you can picture like little micro serrations falling out. And what I kind of try to teach people to use is one of these in their kitchen for maintaining their knife. This is a Idaho 10 or 12 inch ceramic hone, 1200 grit. And in my opinion, based on what I've read and what I've shared, this is a better tool than what most knife blocks come with. And here's how I use it. Stand it up. This is usually in the kitchen, but stand it up like that. Okay, in doing that, I'm being mindful of the angle that the knife is relative to the hone, and I'm really just using the weight of the knife, just gravity, to slide it down the hone. And what I'm curious about, like, is are we going to see an improved cutting performance in our cut test? I think we do. Still a catch there, like that's something we're gonna have to get with a stone. Okay, I think it's better. This knife it'll still definitely be better after we put a stone on it. But what I hope that we've just seen is, by using that hone, these little things have either fallen off or been realigned into the correct position at the edge of the knife. I get asked a lot, like, how do you maintain knives? That's really what I recommend doing. Most people are not going to hone too much, especially if they're doing it the right way. What I definitely do not advocate is like there's just no control, and you're just going to damage your knife. Like, I'm really not for that. I'm going to leave that there. That's how I recommend maintain. You probably can't do it too much. Most people in the kitchen aren't going to remember, like, they're going to start seeing a degradation in their cutting performance. They're going to see bright spots, and they're going to put it on the hone, and then another week or two goes by and they'll do it again. You could probably do it every day. It's fine. Okay, so although this knife is not in terrible condition, it's definitely suitable for resharpening. So let's go to the Edge Pro. And I'm going to spin you around. I'm going to give you a little different perspective on the Edge Pro today. I won't be able to see like the video of me. I'm going to do my best here, but bear with me if it doesn't come out perfect. Okay, so we're going to do something like that. I might need to reposition a little bit. First off, let us decide that we're going to do 21 degrees. So that's the markings on this post indicate what those are, and you can find that in your manual on your Edge Pro. But I've done this knife before. I've done it at 21, so I'm going to go right back to 21 degrees. I'm going to set my blade guide, putting a tip here, take it. So I'm holding the tip here, and then I'm just getting this edge right on this corner, getting the knife blade past the edge of the table. Tighten that down. Yeah, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I build a burr with my 250 stone. If I don't, I might need to start with the 120, but let's just see how that goes. Whenever I'm starting knife, I have it because I've found that if I start with a push stroke, I can get my stones chewed up a little bit. So I'm going to start with a pull stroke. I'm going to slow it. I think I move a little bit faster, but I'm going to kind of slow down for the video. All right, and then I've gotten a few questions about the tip, and there are definitely some special things to pay attention to at the tip. First off is when you just over time pay attention, like just watch the bevel that you're grinding, and you're going to notice the spots where you're grinding it and where you're not. And there's no other way I can describe that than just pay attention to it, and you'll see whether or not you're actually getting all the way up to the tip of the knife. The other thing I'll just say is just, spend a little time there, like pull stroke, push stroke, like you got to get the stone past, but don't roll it off. All right, and then I'm going to do the other side. Pull stroke. My camera mount is a little in the way, so forgive me for that. All right, now I'm going to wipe my blade off, and I'm going to feel for a burr. I'm not picking up a great burr. But this is the technique I wanted to show too. This is how I feel for a burr. I'm using the nail of my thumb, I'm dragging it up the face of the knife, and I'm seeing if it catches the burr as I come over that bevel. And I'm not feeling it. So I'm going to remove this and go to my 120 stone. And I'm going to spin you over here too, because I use way more water than Ben and Cody at Edge Pro. I have a whole tub of water here. When I'm done with my stone, I bring it in here. I use my thumb to wipe everything off of it, and then I set it there to be ready for next time. All right, so I'm going to show you blade thickness, but not until how I set up the Edge Pro to deal with that, but not until I get my burr established. So I'm not worried about it just yet. So we'll come back to that. Hey, check this out too. This is one thing I was talking about on that phone call. See what this finger's doing? I was just doing it subconsciously, but I remembered that it came up on the call. As you get out here, if you're holding the knife like this, it can be hard to keep it steady on the table. So I reach out over, and I use that finger to apply pressure to keep the blade steady to the table right here. The longer than, you start doing 12-inch knives like that gets increasingly difficult. Okay, so now I feel it. And you'll, just to back up, you'll notice what I did is I did one side, and then I did the other side, and now I'm feeling for a burr on this side. And I'm starting at the heel of the knife. I got it. Hopefully you can hear that. Like, it's significant. It's a burr. Like, you can't mistake it. And then I'm going all the way down. I'm doing, a centimeter at a time. Like, that burr has to be felt the whole way down from the heel to the tip. Like, if there's a spot where, like, if I do feel it, but if there's a spot where I'm missing it, like right here, like this, even if it's just an inch long, I got to go back and grind that. Like, I can't move on until I have that burr on the whole edge of the knife. So now I started this side, I did this side, I felt the burr. I'm going back to this side and I'm going to build it. Now that I have a burr on the other side, I'm going to build the burr on this side all the way back. Before I do that, I'm actually going to clean my stone up. And I'm also going to put it back in the way that it was. Between knives, I'll flip my stone just the way that I have my whole system set up. But just for any inconsistencies in the thickness of the stone, it doesn't matter much. Like I get, it's easy to get carried away, but that's the way I do it. All right. All right, so now hopefully you're in view. Burr. Burr. Whoop. Yep. You'll see what I just did is I had to dry it off a little bit. If you don't, I found that if I don't clean the knife off, sometimes I don't detect the burr as well. And if my hand's wet, even sometimes I don't. Okay, so what you just saw, I went from heel to tip. I have the burr on both, like the knife, the stone is cutting both sides all the way to the very edge. Only now can I move on to the next stone. If I move on before verifying that, everything I do from this point out will be worthless. I have to build a burr. Okay, so now the next important thing is I built a burr with this stone, and this stone is this thick. The next stone I'm going to use, which you may or may not be able to see on this video, but hopefully you'll at least believe me, it is not the same thickness. So if I were to go to this stone right now, there's a possibility that it would not cut all the way to the edge. And to get around that, I have this collar. So I need to take the stone that we built the burr with, and I need to drive that collar up so that the stone is sitting between the mount for the guidepost and my shaft collar. All right, and then it has a little cam. Tighten that up. All right, so that fits in there perfectly. Okay, so now when we put this one in there, sloppy. So what we do is we lower this just a little bit, just a pinch. Barely at all, but it matters. Like, please believe me, that matters big time. Okay, so now I tighten it back up. Now when I put this stone in here, it's gonna cut at the exact same angle on the knife that the other stone was. Okay. What you didn't just see, but I did, is when I'm at the tip here, I could tell based on looking at the bevel and the shiny, like how the bevel was shining, that I was not getting this stone all the way to the tip. I could see that. I doubt that you could, but I just want to call attention to it so that as you're sharpening, you know to look for that. And I think on my phone call I said I focus on pull strokes, and maybe that's true, but I find that now that I'm doing it, that's not entirely true. Like, I do push and pull at the tip. I'm just going through and I built the burr on the first pass. So I'm good. I'm comfortable that the angles are good. I'm not going to go back and do the original side with that 250. I'm going to move on to my next stone. Big tub of water, clean it off. Next stone is 650. And now is the point where I just want to comment that I'm going, right, like I just did this side, so I'm going to go to this side now. And what that means is that there is a burr built up on this side. So I don't eat up my stone. I'm going to do, it's hard to explain. Like, I'm not necessarily going to do a pull stroke all the way down it, but I'm going to make sure that as I work down my stone, as I work down my knife, as I work my way down, the progressive stroke going in this direction is a pull stroke. But I will still come back and do push strokes to make sure that I remove all of the grind marks from the previous stone. Again, like I can see when I'm getting that tip and when I'm not. I'm going to slow down and pay attention to it. Now I put a burr on this side, so I'm going to pull stroke, but I'm still going to spend a little time cleaning that up. But as I work my way down, pull stroke, using that finger over here to keep it firm on the bed of the Edge Pro. All right, so now that I'm at the 650, here's your next pro tip. I've done both sides. I'm going back to the first side that I did, and real light. There is a burr on this side now, but I'm just going to real light cut that burr off. That's it. Just to show you, that knife is sharp now. It's actually, this is a good test too. That's 650 grit. Like, that's nice, right? Anybody who never gets their knives sharpened would be beyond satisfied with that. You're seeing that, right? You seeing that? You seeing what's going on? Sorry about that. Sorry. Anyway, you heard it. And there's none of those little catchy little things that we had before. Okay. But still. So like one of the other things we talked about on the phone, like, do I finish at 600 or 1,000? Yeah, like 600's fine. Whatever. I'm in the habit now that for the diamond matrix stones, this next one's 1,100. But all right, so now I got to go back here. Now in this case, you can see that this stone is a little bit thicker. It won't fit in, not by much, but a little bit. So I'm gonna pop that, stick that in, tighten it up. Now it's perfect. One side. I can tell that I've sped up again to my, my normal speed. As an instructor, I should probably slow down a little bit. Okay, so now here comes my finishing technique. And here's something like you can finish your knife however you want. Here's how I do it. I'm going to cut that burr off like I did with the other 600 stone. All right, so now there's no burr, but I still like finishing my knife with a pull stroke down each side. I think that if I didn't do that, everything would be just fine. But that's where I finish. Now I'm done. And let me just pop my stone and clean that, set that aside. And I want to do just another cut test. I'm kind of curious too, like after that, sorry, was it, yeah, 650 with the matrix stones. Like, does it change? Maybe. Man, it's still pretty nice. It's hard to tell how improved that is. Okay, but here's the thing, like if it caught somewhere, if there was a little catch, the paper test will tell me. So like I still do the paper, I do it. Yeah, and you notice that it went all the way to the tip. Okay, so now what I wanted to just test, because this was part of the call too, like does it matter if I finish with a pass on the hone? My gut is no, but so that's something I normally don't do, but I did because of my never-ending curiosity. I don't notice a change. Yeah, it seems the same to me. I'm not gonna add that to my system. Okay. What I'm thinking, did I miss anything? I don't know. If I missed something, just hit it up in the comments. Oh, 25 minutes. Oh man, talk about a long pro tip video on a chef knife. That should, doing a chef knife should just take a few minutes. All right, we've gone long. I was gonna spend a little time talking about bartering, but I don't like the videos to go so long. So I'm gonna call that there tonight. I hopefully will have pressed all the right buttons and appeased the powers that be at YouTube so that next week, next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I can actually go live in my shop and sharpen a knife with you if you'd like to be here. And again, like, I don't know, I've never done this before, but I'm hoping that you can interact with me when we do that. Thank you. Please subscribe and reach out about anything. Thanks so much.